All right, so this is Todd Atkins, and I'm here with Carlos Puente Jr., who was on my show previously. He fights in Combate. And Carlos, maybe talk to me about what you've done since last time we talked, which I think was two fights back.
Yeah, nice to see you, man. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me again. So I was on a pretty big losing streak, and luckily with these last two fights, I was able to turn it around. I'm on a winning streak now. Two finishes, two submissions in both of those. So very, very happy with that result. My life definitely a lot brighter, not as dark around here. You know what I mean? Losing so much, especially, something that I care about so much, something that I've literally dedicated my life to actually be seeing the success like coming back is really rewarding.
So, like the last two fights, maybe talk us through because you had a few fights where you lost, and you won these two fights, and it looked like I had told you offline, that your timing and you're more comfortable. Why do you think that happened the way it did?
So I started training, and not just training more, but like training more seriously in the things that I felt like I lacked. So going over the tape, the footage of six losses in a row, I was able to kind of come up with an idea in my head that I wanted to have be fruitful, but right. So like my idea in my head was that in the fight, I wasn't necessarily losing because these guys were like that much better than me. I wasn't getting beat up. I wasn't getting injured. I wasn't getting um like destroyed out there. It was for me, in my opinion, that I would make a mistake. I would always make a mistake, or I would lose focus, or I would not really try to like follow my own strategy, follow my own way to victory. Like the strategy that I'd already built in my head kind of went out the window and said, well, this is what the fight is right now. I'd rather just keep fighting and flow and see where this goes. And I think that for these last two fights, I was really adamant in this is how I want to win, and I'm going to do everything that I can to get there. And although it was by knockout mostly that I want to win, like a TKO or a knockout, even if I get people on the ground, my training in jujitsu also just increased a lot more. I have a very technical guy also helping me out at least two, three times a week that I didn't have before. And I think that with this individual training, with this like specialized training, that I've been able to almost like correct those little details that I needed from my previous techniques and all together get better.
But I mean, for people, because you see a lot of fighters, if they go on a losing streak, they don't recover.
Yeah.
And did you have any of those thoughts, like, I'm not going to be able to do this,
Oh, yeah.
or you
Yeah,
did?
man, it was some very dark times. I mean, my very, very first loss, I didn't even care about it because I felt that I had won that one. I felt that it could have been stopped in the third, and at the very least, it should have been a draw. Um, so it didn't hurt too bad. But the next one that I lost was actually probably the biggest fight that I've had to date. It was for LFA. It was against Vince Cachero, who ended up being in the UFC maybe like three fights later. Um, and there was a lot riding on that one. I even have a picture, and like in this moment, and this is what I remember the most. I have a picture of me like hitting a knee on Vince off the cage, but my knee doesn't hit him. It's more like my thigh on his face. And I believe that maybe the next fight or maybe two fights after that, he actually got finished by that same knee by Casey. I can't remember his last name, but he ended up going to the UFC. He's now even fought Dominic Cruz. He's like a blonde kid, 135er. Anyway, really, really good guy. So that was a big opportunity that I missed. And with that came other big fights and again, more and more losses. Maybe up until I think my fifth straight loss hurt more than my sixth because after five is when I really started saying like, damn, maybe I suck. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I made a mistake and should have, stayed in my office and worked the computer and IT and all that stuff. Like I was happy. It wasn't a crazy life, but I was happy. Um, but then, thinking about it, nothing made me happier than training and dedicating my life to MMA, even not obtaining the results. But yeah, after five, I really thought, damn, I don't know what I'm doing, I guess. And then I lost again. And instead of saying the same thing, going through that same cycle of like, oh, maybe this, maybe that, maybe I suck, whatever, I said, like, what can I do about it? If I'm not gonna quit, if I'm really gonna keep going, and at that time my record was now 6-7, so I had more losses than I had wins, and to me that just didn't sit right. I couldn't leave the sport and leave all this behind a loser. Like I didn't come in to be a loser, so I was determined to win every fight from then on, and I said I'm not just gonna do it one time. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to get these wins back. I'm gonna try to keep going. I'm gonna try to just take it as far as I can. But I wanted to be smarter about it, so I broke down what I needed. I broke down even like that whole making a mistake part of my game, where I felt like, you know, every fight something would happen. I got a sports psychologist to help me through that so that I could prepare better, so I could be mentally stronger in there as well. And yeah, just more and more dedication to my jujitsu, to the whole craft, has helped me out a lot, a lot. Overcome all those demons.
How did the psychologist help? Because I mean, I think that's the bigger thing. Like when a guy, when guys lose several fights in a row, they just can't
Yeah.
get back on a winning track. So how do you think you did it?
Mm. Um, Luckily I was able to believe in myself. So like I was training, you know, still and doing really well in sparring, doing really well in jujitsu, but it was my fights that I was losing, you know, it was those important things that I was losing. So with my psychologist, more than anything, we prepared for as many scenarios as possible for the fights. So very specifically, maybe like a week before, we'll start going into these visualization trainings, visualization exercises, so that I can think about everything that's going to happen the day of my fight. Like from the moment I wake up to the moment the fight is over, every step of the way I try to like fill in with as many details as I can. And the more that I see this happen on the actual day, so once I visualized it, you know, a week passes by and I'm now in Miami. Now it's fight day, or wherever I'm at. Now it's fight day. As I see the details that I was visualizing come to life, I start getting more and more confident in my preparation. I start knowing like, okay, I knew I was gonna feel this. I knew I was gonna feel cold. I knew I was gonna get some kind of jump in excitement and anxiety. Um, Another thing that's, you know, since helping other amateur fighters, I've come to realize that that line, there's a very, very thin line between anxiety and excitement. And a lot of the times these fighters or these people will get really anxious, and I'll have to like almost remind them that, you know, because of that thin line. So right now your body is just getting ready for this very exciting thing, this very big thing. It doesn't want to let you down. It's trying to get you prepared for this big moment that you're going to need all this energy for. When that starts happening to me, I'm able to almost like let myself get carried by that flow. Like sometimes it peaks, sometimes it drops, but I can now remain calm enough to kind of be in control backstage, be in control of everything that I know I'm in control of. And that's what I really work with my sports psychologist, is everything that I can control that gives me that comfort. That's what we're handling. That's what we're imagining. That's what we're visualizing and then executing on the day of.
But what I want to ask you is like, you know how you said out a string of losses
Mm-hmm.
from a confidence standpoint, aside from, I mean, because I know you're getting help from the psychologist, but
Yeah.
when you're at home thinking about, okay, I'm going to do it again, how did you get over that?
Um, I think it's a lot of like belief in yourself, to be honest. Maybe like to a foolish extent, but you gotta believe that you have it in you. Me personally, I've always thought I was the best, period. That's what I tell myself. That's when I hear I'm gonna fight this or that guy, I just tell myself, well, I'm better than them. And on that day, I'm gonna be better than them, because that's all that matters, is being better than them on that day. Um, I have like I think a healthy obsession with becoming the best, which, you know, guides me through my training and all that. But it's the matter of like once I broke it down and told myself, hey, on that day is when you need to be the best, it kind of made it even easier for me to believe that I can be the best, because as long as I win that night, like I will be better. So to get my confidence back, it was just that belief in myself. It was the belief in training and my preparation. And you hear it is really cliche. Like when people say like, "Oh, I had the best camp," that's why I'm so confident, or da da da. I think that when I do the right things, the smart things, when I'm actually recovering in my trainings, when I'm actually going on my runs in my trainings, when I'm not saying, "Okay, I'm gonna eat this chocolate now, but I'm gonna work it out later." When I'm doing all those right things, my confidence like builds up and stays up. So it's not something that I need to constantly bring back up. Even thinking about losses, even thinking about, oh man, like, well, there was six guys that were better than me on that night, and every single time I told myself the same thing. Yes, I'm gonna win those fights. Yes, I'm gonna be the guy that comes out victorious. I'm gonna get a knockout. I'm gonna get a sub. And after it not happening so much, yeah, you would think like that belief would kind of like waver or falter. And if anything, I just told myself that I needed to work harder to make that true. If I really wanted to believe it in my heart, not just say it out loud, not just think it, but like believe it in my heart, then I knew what I had to do that. Like I knew I had to train this certain way, this certain thing, and be this tired or go this hard for this many times or this long for me to feel comfortable and confident.
Now you told me that you Combate did something with the reality show for this last fight you did. What did they tell
Yep.
you they were gonna do with this footage?
So, um, with the with that last fight in Combate, yeah, they had a reality show on VIX Plus. I don't remember what it was called, like War of something. I don't know. It was between four gyms. So like the concept was pretty cool. It was like four gyms that were just going to be battling each other for a number of weeks. This gym, Mexican gym against Spanish gym, and then the Miami team versus the other LA team, and then LA versus Mexico, da 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 da. I was lucky enough to be on the show. I was on the third episode, the last fight of the third episode. And before we all went out to fight, they promised us a bonus. They said that the best fighter, the best finish would get a bonus at the end of the night, 5,000 extra dollars for that fighter. And there were no finishes. And again, I was the very last fight. I hit this really, really nice double jab uppercut on my opponent. I rocked him, I dropped him, and I caught him in a triangle submission once we were on the floor, which, I've always loved the triangle. So that one's always going to be really, really, really special for me. It was my first favorite move that I ever learned in jiu-jitsu. And then once I got that finish, I was like, dang, we got that bag, secured it. You know what I mean? We're going to the bank after this. But yeah, they gather everybody up. So even the guy that I just beat, who obviously isn't having a great time, we're all gathered up in the ring, in the cage, and the boss, the CEO guy, Campbell, it's Campbell something, I don't know, Campbell, never even shows up to the cage. I hear the commentary team say, "Oh, I guess there's gonna be no bonus today." And then they start joking like they should give us the bonus, which I thought was so annoying, but whatever. Um, yeah, and so they just like let us go back to the locker room and give us no explanation, give us nothing. They even had like on the big billboard screens behind us, like the big screens say bonus, 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 bonus. And then yeah, no bonus at all for anybody. So there was a little bit of footage of me kind of talking a little bit of crap, saying like, how do you promise a bonus, but you don't get a bonus? And I feel like they kind of left that in at the end of the episode. But the worst part I want to say was that some little viral video, some guy on one of the teams from Combate of that reality show, one of the teams of that reality show, started filming a little exchange that we had backstage. I was trying to get food for my team. So, fights ended. We're all super hungry. We've been there all day for hours. And there's a big box full of meals. I go over, I try to get one. They're like, oh, no, 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 you need a ticket. And I was like, all right, where do I get a ticket? Thinking that, I'm a fighter. The show's over. My team's with me. Like, they know how this all works. Like, this is going to be normal. Where do I get a ticket? I go up to a guy and I asked him straight up, hey, can I get a ticket? We're super hungry. And he just says, no. and like walks away. Again, I'm already missing my bonus. I'm super hungry. I know my whole team is hungry. And how do you just say no and walk away? Like, no explanation. That's the worst part to me. Like, you're not even telling me why I can't have a ticket. Like, I would understand, like, oh, they're numbered, they're for this team, blah, whatever. I can understand so. But yeah, to give me nothing, I start like chasing them, trying to talk to them. And I guess somebody pulled out their little phone and posted a video of a little exchange between us. It kind of got a little heated, but nothing physical, luckily. And then we were able to explain ourselves with the Combate team, because I guess that guy was not even part of the Combate team. He was really just in charge of the meals. And I don't know, got like fell in love with his power and started saying, no, you can't have this meal, just because there was really no reason for us not to get a meal. And once we explained it to the Combate team and one of the guys that came out and talked to us, he actually brought us a bunch of food. And I said, all I want is a Diet Coke. And he was able to make that happen for me. And I was so stoked on that Diet Coke. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, you would think it's kind of obvious that you're one of the people that fought. So
Yeah. Don't we deserve a meal?
now, how many more fights do you have with Combate? Do you know?
Currently, there is no contract, so I could fight for anybody right now. I would love to go back and fight for Combate. I think the isolation really helps me. So I've thought about fighting locally here. I've been offered a couple things, and it never really feels like a full fight camp until I leave. So without leaving, if the show is local, it's hard to like get in that mindset of like, okay, here comes a fight and get 100% ready for it. But it is something that I'm going to be adjusting and working on if I do end up fighting locally. But I've always liked that. I've always liked the isolation of like, okay, we get sent out to Miami. We're in a hotel room. I don't have my usual stuff. I don't have my video games. I don't have my chores or all my clothes everywhere. I don't got this job to do. Like it's just about the fight. I always like that, like isolation, that dedication to just the fight. And maybe I'll miss that, if I don't fight for Combate. But I know I can create the environment. I know I can be ready here as well. If Combate calls, I'm more than ready to fight anybody in their 125 division. And I think that given my age, given my experience, my record, I'm not choosing. I'm not being choosy. You know what I mean? If a promotion says we'll pay you this much and it's a good number and it's a 25er, I'm gonna say yes to it.
But I mean, how many fights did you have in Combate?
I've had five
Okay,
fights.
5.
Mhm.
But you won your last 2, so you would think that they would probably be
Yeah,
wanting to bring you back on.
exactly. That I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking that they would want to give me a contract, and being that I'm bilingual too, like I could give interviews in English and Spanish. I could really like help promote the entire promotion. In my opinion, it would be a great fit. But they got their eyes on their marketing ideas and whatever they want to do. I'm just gonna keep trying to win, keep trying to fight and win.
What were some other shows that you were looking at?
These local ones down here are called Lights Out Promotion, and Up Next Federation. Up Next has ex UFC guy Albert Morales, and I think there might be some others like Cisco Rivera was also fighting for them. Lights Out is a very similar show. I think that Up Next actually came from Lights Out, but they separated now. And another really cool thing is that it's a pro Ami show. It's cool to me because I train with a lot of pros, a lot of amateurs at Classic Fight Team and at Orange County Regional Training Center. So seeing those guys also come up, be on the same card, be able to weigh in the day before instead of the horrible thing that California does here with the same day weigh-ins. Those are so awful. I don't agree with that. I get what they're trying to do, but it just doesn't seem very helpful for the fighters at the end of the day.
How far are you from San Diego?
San Diego is about an hour and a half. Not far at all. Not
Because
far at
they have
all.
some fights there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've had Cage Warriors too come through to San Diego. That's actually a show I might try to get on. Cage Warriors, LFA has come through as well. If I could get on either of those two big shows, I would be more than happy. I had an offer at the beginning of the year for APFC, Anthony Pettis Fighting Championship, and it was going to be a title fight for their 125 title. And I said yes. I don't know. I said yeah, like almost immediately. And then a week later, I still hadn't heard anything back. So I was like, "Hey, are we doing this?" And I guess they'd found someone else, but they said they'd keep me in mind. Hopefully, I don't think I could make 25 by April 1st now, but at least keep me in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, man, to get like how hard do you find it being like to get on the card for somebody? I mean, you had these two fights for Combate. Now you're looking for something rather than them giving
Just
you a contract of some
yeah.
sort.
It's been tough here and there because I am like my own manager almost. I'm my own person that's finding my own fights. It's a lot harder to turn down fights. You know, you never want to say no to somebody or because you think that you can beat everybody as the fighter, but as the manager, you got to make those right business decisions. And kind of like pick the best fighter, the one that you know that you can even have an advantage over in certain areas. So talking to promotions, hearing about fighters, I usually just go with the first guy for me personally, because again, like that does come into play. I think, oh well, if I beat this guy in this promotion, it could do this or that for my career. If I am trying to get a fight for somebody else, I'll probably get two or three options on a fighter. But for me, I hear that first name. If the date works, if the money works, then I say yeah.
Does it have to be something that's on Fight Pass necessarily, or how do you go
No, so
about it?
like my biggest dream in MMA would be to fight in Japan. That would be like if I could fight in Ryzen, that would be a better contract to me than yeah. Look at that. Yeah, Nihongo.
No, I
Yeah.
have some connections with Verizon. Obviously I'm close with Ensign
Yeah.
Hanoi, and yeah,
Hmm.
maybe I should put you in contact with him because Ensign has a lot of pull with Verizon. I
That
don't
would
know if
be
you've watched some of our Japan MMA show that we've been doing. They're starting to
yeah.
bring in more foreign competitors.
I,
Like when I lived in Japan, Shuto had foreign athletes. Even Pancrase had foreign. But now it's kind of where I
a
would
lot of
say Shudo,
Brazilians.
Pancrase, and those are mostly Japanese now only.
Hmm.
So it's changed a little bit, but they were already talking about where Ryzen's going to bring in some more foreign competitors.
I
So
would love that. Yeah, because I mean I would love to represent Mexico too. I don't see a lot of Mexicans out there. And one championship, same thing. I was very, very stoked to see this guy. I don't know his name, but he's fighting Rod Tang for the title. And that's another Mexican Muay Thai guy. I think he's from Tulum. I'm excited to see how he performs. And hopefully if he does well, we can get some more Mexicans in there and get a chance of at one championship too. I like one championship a lot too because they have the different sports that you could try, right? I would even be down to do a grappling match. I'd be down to kickbox Rod Tang or do a Muay Thai fight. That would be so exciting for me. The variety.
yeah, Rod Tang, he's one of my favorite guys to watch. You know,
So cool. So cool.
not just
Honestly,
he's a good
I
fighter, but
watch
his
guys like that
mannerisms
and I
are.
want to fight them so bad.
He reminds me of Kid Yamamoto, who I knew in Japan. He kind of has some of the same
Yeah.
facial expressions and stuff. Where,
Yamamoto.
like the guy he's fighting is a waste of his time, sort of.
Yeah.
It's kind of how Kid was, I
That
guess.
they love doing that. I feel like Muay Thai guys are really good at doing that. At like, you're just so worthless to me.
Yeah, he kind of has that kind of aura about him, so to speak. But
Mm.
on the subject, like were you saying you had Rod Tank said he lost basically all of his fights early, like all of them.
No way.
Yeah, they were telling him you're terrible. Why don't you go do something else?
No way.
Yeah. He said when he first started Muay Thai, he would get beat constantly. He
I
didn't
thought he
win
was
any
just one of
fights.
those guys.
Yeah. He said the guys were like, you're awful at this stuff. You should just do something
I'm in
else.
shock. I can't
Yeah.
believe that. No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like him. I mean, he's tough. He's a great entertainer, but he's also super skilled. Like I love watching that guy fight.
Yeah. I think in MMA, there's this mentality that you can't take any losses, but, Muay Thai guys lose all the time. And now he's got all this experience and this talent. And now he's a force, now you can't
Yeah,
beat
he
him.
did.
But he had all that experience of losing constantly,
That
and
makes
now he's just got all that experience, all these fights, and now he's just nobody
sense.
can beat him.
Yeah, now he's on a good one. That girl Stamp Fairtex too is really interesting.
Right, right.
Again, I like her too because of her variety. So she does the kickboxing fight, she does the MMA fight, she does the Muay Thai fights. I love that.
Yeah, and I think, my friend does some stuff with her as far as he took her to the US, Matt Lucas. And he was saying kind of on the same subject, what Stamp said was her best attribute was the ability to endure, like endure loss, endure this, endure that, just to
Mhm.
keep doing it, you know.
Keep it.
And she said for fighters, that's one thing that, can be hard, but if you just endure, whether it's failure or success or whatever, if you can keep
Yeah,
enduring, then you can continue to do stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I feel that kind of reminds me of one of my first lessons of like one of my first fight lessons. I thought I was pretty tough. I thought I was like, ready for my first fight more than anything, my very first amateur fight. And in preparation, I remember my coach just getting on top of me like full mount. We were rolling, whatever, we're doing a round, rolling. He gets to full mount, he starts hitting, and I cover up. I think he took like an arm bar or a mounted triangle or something. And I tap thinking like, he's going to get off of me. And no, he didn't get off of me. He just stayed on top for like another like 20, 30 minutes. And I mean, that first minute, I'm like, okay, I tapped, I tapped. All right, I'll tap. Okay. And he's like, I'm not letting you go.
Mhm.
And there had to be like this little switch in me that was like, oh shoot, like he's not going to let me go. I need to like do something about it. And yeah, it took a really long time to get out from under him, especially because the more I tried and he countered, the more tired I was getting, more exhausted. And it was a tough lesson. But the next time, the very next day, when I got into that position, I didn't wait for somebody to do something and like get that advantage and beat me up or even have the opportunity to. The sense of urgency of like, oh shoot, this guy could really like keep me under here and like kill me or beat me or whatever the heck it might be. Like I really learned that lesson, and it was about enduring those like 20, 30 minutes or whatever. And you can't teach it, you just kind of have to see if the person can endure it, if the fighter can really go through it. And yeah, afterwards, I remember being so grateful for the lesson, as hard as it was. Like it was hard to like not cry while it was happening. It was so tough. I was like, no crying. And once it was over, though, again, you just become so grateful because you like learn how far you can push yourself. You learn how much you can endure, and that is like from that day, from that lesson, I've known like how far I can push myself.
Yeah, another thing Stamp does, she talks to herself. Like she gives herself positive messages like
That's
Stamp you're
cool.
great or Stamp you're cool, or whether she's on the bus or walking around or wherever. That's what Matt told me. Like she says talks to herself positively.
I like that. I heard that Izzy does it too. One of the first guys that I was like following in like their preparation. I really want to know more about their preparation was Israel Adesanya because he became champion so quickly and it seemed like he had this like I mean style to him, right?
Mhm.
And so I kind of like got interested in how he prepares. And one of the things that stuck out was that he talks to himself in the mirror. Like he'll look at himself in the mirror and literally talk to himself. And I remember when I tried it the first time, like it worked for me. It really worked. And especially if I wanted to be negative, like if I wanted to be like, you're a bitch or you're gonna bitch out about this or that like I don't know, it was like somebody was actually saying it to me, not me to me, and it hit some other kind of note. Like if another person was like, "Yeah, you fucking suck," I would get upset. I'd be like, "Nah," I would have to tell them like how I don't. You know what I mean? Like, and that's like the fire that I was able to like incite in myself just by talking to myself in the mirror. Even before a fight or something, like I'll go to the restroom, talk to myself, and just be like, "You got this shit. You train super hard." Da 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 da. I like those positive reinforcements, or I am the greatest, something like that. I remember Ali saying stuff like that. I remember, Tyson talking about how good he is. So I kind of try to learn from them as well.
Now, So your dream is to fight him Ryzen or something like that. Is that kind of like, do you think you're going to focus on that next or?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my focus is just to keep winning fights. And I know that every fight that I win, I'm gonna get more and more opportunity. But my goal is to get there. So yeah, I'll definitely be talking to you, talking to those contacts. I know that there's a guy down here who's fought for Ryzen in their kickboxing. So he's got to have a contact. My friend Spike also fought for them. I
Yeah,
think
he had
he's
a good fight.
going to
Spike
fight for them
Carlisle,
again.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he had a good fight. This last one.
he's about to fight for them again, I want to say too. So
Yeah.
that should be another person that I'll be hitting up and trying to get over there. Because honestly, like more than anything, I want to have that fight. I want to have that fight recorded because I love the way that Japanese people film their sporting events. Like they got different angles in the UFC and in the ring, it's a lot different. So I really want to get that image of me in there. I want to see it already.
Plus, I think, one thing that probably Spike could attest to, if you have success there, it's almost like you're a star there. Even if you weren't successful in UFC or
Yeah,
wherever,
true.
if you have good performances in Ryzen, you can become very popular there.
Yeah, I'll put on a show too. I'll come out dancing, whatever I need to do. Like Anderson Silva back in Pride. That was a good entrance. That was really good entrance.
But how long you think it'll take for you to get another fight, you think?
Yeah, we're out. We're almost cutting it close. Like I was going to fight April 8th. So since that might not be happening, I'm looking for something else in April, maybe 2 weeks after that. So yeah, the soonest would be next month, and if not, the latest, something early May. But fighting for the first time in the fifth month of the year is a little late. Like I want to get it in already. So I want to get another win, make my record look a little bit better, and that way maybe Ryzen will pay attention,
125?
125.
125. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they have a lot of smaller guys in Japan, so maybe. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have a lot of like small guys. I know that they've even had like a 115 division at one point. So they got some 25ers. And then one championship, I believe that their lowest is 115 guys that now fight at 25, right?
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
that. Because DJ, I believe, is fighting 35 since he was a 25er.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
That'd be another good one. Fight DJ. Imagine that. Wow. The first flyweight champ.
Yeah, I think I can help you. I
That
think
would
I
be
can.
fantastic, my man.
I'm gonna
Honestly,
get on it as soon as we finish this.
let's get it. Hell yeah, hell
All
yeah.
right. All
I'm
right.
doing
Carlos, is great talking to you. And like I said, I'm about to try and hook you up with something right quick. Or as soon as we
heck yeah,
finish
man.
this.
Appreciate you.
All
Appreciate
right, man.
everybody watching too. Keep
Yeah,
following my
if you
videos.
want to say something, people watching this, or you want to leave a note on here.
Yeah, shout out everybody watching me from the 760. Shout out everybody from the OC, todos de Mexico, toda mi familia. And keep watching. I'm gonna keep getting better. I'm gonna keep winning. 25 is my division. That's what I'm gonna run.
All right, Carlos, it's great talking to you. Till the next time. Take
Yes, sir.
care.
Thank you so much for everything, man.